Hey yo guys, what's happening? It's your boy Araine TJ back again with another reaction video, and today we're looking at the sidekick effect of rappers. Some of them are doomed to fail apparently. That's what this YouTuber has to say. So we're gonna check out this video today by Bobalam. Now I'm gonna hit like, and I'm gonna watch the video first. Alright.
The sidekick effect seems to have remained prevalent and potentially worsened throughout the past few decades in hip-hop. A phenomenon by which a rapper duo, usually labeled loosely as a collective or frequent unofficial collaborators, rise to fame together in a meteoric fashion due to their strong chemistry. However, as one artist eventually starts to outpace the other in streams or fame, the other tends to be almost forgotten entirely. This pattern occurs all too often in the music industry, many times without us even realizing. For by the time the main artist has reached a certain level of celebrity status, the sidekick had already been lost in the shadows. That is, whether or not there was any bad blood in the relationship. Which begs a couple questions. What exactly is the origin or explanation behind so many examples of sidekick rappers falling out of relevance while their counterpart rises to the top? And are there any remedies to stop this process if one were to find themselves to be a sidekick, so that their career can survive the test of time? There are definitely a few examples of unofficial artist duos both flourishing, but how exactly? Let's figure it out. As we just briefly alluded to, rap duos comprise of a main artist and a sidekick. This framework often emerges organically, driven by a friendship prior to becoming an artist or early on in their respective careers. Typically, the artists have some sort of complementary skills or sounds in the recording process that encourage them to collaborate more frequently in music than others. And while the sidekick effect concept does apply to official rap duos and groups under one band name, today we're more focusing on separate artists that fans tend to just draw a strong association due to how often they're seen together on social media. And because of this, it affects the trajectory of their careers substantially. Here's how. Simply put, the pseudo-main artist, which may or may not be apparent just yet, typically possesses a much stronger brand and or charisma. After all, music nowadays isn't completely reliant upon talent. It's about the entire package. Music, aesthetics, personality, social media content, cosigns, etc. In fact, many of the time, they might not even be the more musically talented of the duo or even the original artist in the group. Historically, the sidekick was actually musically inclined and even convinced the primary artist to record with them, but the main artists just have something about them that people tend to follow more. A message, artistic vision, maybe attractiveness, brand friendliness, or just overall star power. Things that can't really be quantified. But for whatever reason, they eventually become the face of the duo, commanding the spotlight and assuming the role of the primary creative force. In contrast, the sidekick, while not devoid of talent, is often perceived as playing a supporting role, complementing the primary artist and enhancing the duo's overall sound, image, and brand. While there is no question that the hierarchy assists in the growth of both artists, it is also the main cause for the downfall later on in their career. For the main artist usually plays the role as primary performer, by which once again, they will either encompass a majority of the duration in songs, performances, and interviews, or naturally demand the most attention due to their stronger personality. The sidekick, on the other hand, while some fans may favor their distinct style and content, their main purpose remains to be perceived by the public as an extra layer to the main artist fandom or lore. Their brand and discography essentially becomes a hub for more dedicated fans wanting to dig deeper into the characteristics behind the main artist lore, just through another person entirely. Although of course, it is entirely possible that the fans may also just prefer the sidekick's music. And while it may seem like the main artist could have grown the same trajectory without the help of the sidekick, they most definitely have a mutually beneficial relationship, such as spreading awareness of each other's music with double the reach. Both artists gain their own fans respectively, and naturally, the fans will learn about their frequent collaborators through songs and social media. It's a win-win, right? However, unfortunately, at least for the sidekick, this sharing of fans tends to become uneven, with the primary artist becoming much more polarizing and therefore attracting more followers, even if they started at a much lower level. In such a scenario, the sidekick merely acts as a funnel leading to the main artist, in which a new fan could have discovered the sidekick's music first, but ultimately ended up becoming an even bigger fan of the more charismatic figure of the duo. But regardless, with both artists promoting each other organically, they grow exponentially faster than if they were just solo. That is, until something happens to the main artist. One of the prime examples of recent rap duos that probably crossed your mind already is XXXTentacion and Ski Mask the Slump God. In fact, X led an entire rap collective called Members Only, whose gradual downfall of most of its members and extended affiliates only support my argument even further. But for simplicity's sake, we'll just discuss the main duo. X and Ski Mask emerged as two of the top artists in the bubbling South Florida underground movement amidst the first SoundCloud era around 2016, organically building a fan base by uploading highly distorted, unfinished tracks to SoundCloud, many of which featuring the other, gained them considerable attention and acclaim for their unique and conventional styles to music at the time. X released a rather contradicting mix of emotionally charged, introspective lyricism, as well as ignorant mosh pit performance songs. Paired with his outspoken spirituality and trolling online antics, including an infamous arrest and arguably one of the most recognizable mugshots in recent music history, he was quickly titled as one of the figureheads of the entire underground rap scene, not just for his own group. On the other hand, Ski Mask the Slump God was known for being a much more articulate rapper in regards to conventional rap flows, wordplay, and rapid-fire delivery, although his personality definitely shined through with cartoon beat remixes among wacky lyrics and music videos. In fact, Ski Mask allegedly started to gain some traction on SoundCloud before X, likely due to his more polished sound at the time. Not to mention, X's lengthy criminal history, even prior to becoming famous, that probably rid him of precious studio time. Together with both of their distinct talents, the two were seemingly unstoppable. Their individual music resonated deeply with the younger generation as they slowly captivated a cult following with an emotional connection to the artist due to their open subject matter encompassing mental health, personal struggles, and societal issues. Not to mention their crazy live performances and endless mosh pits. But within the dynamic of this duo, Ski Mask the Slump God undeniably assumed the position of X's sidekick, whether he liked it or not. While they were both great rappers, Ski Mask's role was often overlooked due to X's unmatched charisma. Ski Mask even tried to escape this role, likely seeing it unfold before his eyes, by moving north thousands of miles away from his home of South Florida to New York City soon after reaching mainstream popularity with X. Perhaps if he wasn't seen with X for an extended period of time, fans would stop thinking about him as merely a secondary artist. Unfortunately, this caused a rift between the two as X took the separation personally, justifiably. He just lost a childhood friend because of his career. But they continued expanding their respective fan bases by collaborating with other artists they met along the way, such as Trippie Redd and Juice WRLD, so maybe it was all for the best. And eventually, they reunited live while performing at Rolling Loud a couple years later in their home of South Florida, but it was already too late. Their fate had been decided.
Right now, a search for a killer in South Florida after an up-and-coming rapper is shot dead. 20-year-old XXXTentacion killed in an apparent robbery.
He said
X's life was tragically taken in June of 2018, sending shockwaves throughout the entire music industry. For a while, X's relevance was at an all-time high due to the fans remaining in disbelief of their favorite artist being taken so early in their life. But of course, 5 or so years later, without X physically being on Earth to continue his own legacy and create more music, his name slowly began to fade as with anything on this planet. And unfortunately for Ski Mask, as much as he tried to succeed on his own, his career was still indeed tied to X. And that while interest in streams from fans started to move on to newer emerging artists from their past favorite deceased artists, so too did they move on from his sidekick. Easily witnessed through the declining sales of his latest mixtape, Sin City, when compared to his prior projects while X remained alive. Granted, it was just a mixtape, and it is the only project he's released since X's passing, but I think we all know it would have definitely not performed as well as he once did when both he and X were supreme. Not to mention the obvious lack of motivation for Ski and even the rest of Members Only to continue releasing music since 2018, as their release schedules have essentially slowed down to a complete halt. Perhaps it's because they know they needed X to lead the way, or that he was just simply the main reason or inspiration as to why they made music in the first place. Another example, coincidentally from the very same SoundCloud era, was the unofficial rap duo Lil Pump and Smoke Perp, also deriving from the South Florida Broward County. Lil Pump burst onto the rap scene with an explosive force, becoming a symbol of ignorant Instagram antics, boasting incomprehensible lyrics that somehow still sounded good, at least for a short while.
Yo, why
His
he
viral
stand
Billboard
like
hit
that?
Gucci Gang in 2017, among other SoundCloud smashes, established him as a mainstream artist and attained a highly engaged fan base wishing to be him, consuming endless amounts of Xanax without any care in the world for the long-term health implications. Groupie love and yelling out "Esket because you haven't even learned how to read yet. His elementary yet catchy hooks brought him a multitude of anthems throughout the beginning of his career. And as much as I hate to say it, he was arguably the face of SoundCloud rap with the likes of Lil Uzi Vert and XXXTentacion due to his unique image of face tattoos and colored dreadlocks. And right beside him, as with most rappers, he had a sidekick, Smoke Perp, who essentially rose to fame for the exact same style of music and behavior, albeit a bit less extreme. The two rappers collaborated often and still do to this day, but also enjoyed successful solo careers of their own, although only for a short period. For both artists' careers seemingly free fell at the same pace that they initially grew. Expectedly though, the repetitive nature of their trap beats and basic lyrics grew stale, even though that was originally the reason they grew so rapidly. I guess SoundCloud listeners just needed something extremely dumbed down to make music fun again, not so complex, but just not that dumbed down. J. Cole even responded to Lil Pump and Smoke Perp's multiple viral IG stories and tweets dissing him, predicting that they wouldn't last, and oh, was he right. Although as much as Lil Pump has definitely faced his fair share of issues maintaining the same success in music that he once had, he is almost immune to falling into total irrelevance since his name will forever be supplanted in the younger generation's minds from the heights of fame he reached. Smoke Perp, on the other hand, is already experiencing the aftermath of being Lil Pump's sidekick. But while he initially enjoyed a surge of popularity and recognition as Lil Pump's right-hand man, and did honestly have a couple of good songs that I believe were better than any of Lil Pump's catalog. In fact, he was allegedly the reason why Lil Pump started rapping, as Smoke Perp began making beats in high school. But Smoke Perp still struggled to establish a sustainable career without Lil Pump as the main driving force. His subsequent solo projects following he and Pump's prime just never accomplished the same recognition. At one point, Smoke Perp and Travis Scott publicly teased that he was going to be the first Cactus Jack signee. If his career had continued with a positive trajectory, I wouldn't doubt that it was actually a possibility. But instead, all that resulted was a mediocre feature and slowly declining sales with each successive album. He even became the laughingstock in the rap game for selling less than like 5,000 copies for his Florida Jit album in its first week. Although, to be honest, the decline of sales in hip hop has become a trend for a lot of artists from his generation too, not just him.
True.
But overall, the absence of Lil Pump's magnetic presence during his prime left both he and Smoke Perp utterly useless in their attempts to sell music in the future, despite all his efforts to rebrand and experiment with different styles of music such as more melodic auto-tune infused tracks or whatever. And unfortunately, years later, Smoke Perp has simply become a target for negative attention, in that select fans have merely attended his tour stops to just document how abysmal the turnouts are. So I guess one could argue that similar to Lil Pump, he's remained relevant in the rap listeners' social media feeds, but definitely not for the right reasons. Now the list could go on and on regarding examples of unofficial rapper duos, wherein one rapper went mainstream and the other fell off entirely. So we'll just speed run through these next few. Most recently, we have seen the demise of Yeat and September's Rich, who rose to fame solely off the career of Yeat, while September's Rich earned most of his streams from featuring his then best friend on many of his new releases. Eventually they split due to relationship issues and potentially jealousy, as the power dynamic definitely favored Yeat, who at the time was collaborating with all-time greats in rap such as Lil Uzi Vert, Young Thug, Gunna, and Drake. And without Yeat carrying the streams for September's Rich's future catalog, he seemingly has quit music altogether, possibly knowing the results would be horrific if he actually did. Trippie Redd and Lil Wop, soon after emerging in the previously mentioned SoundCloud era in 2017, became close friends and frequent collaborators, even being arrested together a year later. But expectedly, as Trippie surpassed Lil Wop, working with artists such as Travis Scott, Drake, and other mainstream artists, the two eventually separated, which anyone could have seen coming from the beginning, from the obvious differential in talent and versatility between the two rappers. And so over the years, Trippie continued in a positive trajectory, and well, Lil Wop has transitioned into something else. And it definitely was not a successful rapper. In the first few years of Lil Yachty's come up, he was the leader of the rap collective The Sailing Team, comprising of popular artists within the underground Atlanta scene at the time like Cody Shane, J-Band's 2 Turnt, K Supreme, and others. However, as he continued to rise in the ranks of celebrity in more than just music, but as a voice actor and overall brand, the rest fell behind. In fact, in an interview with Kerwin Frost, he explained that he spent nearly $1 million trying to jumpstart their careers, but they were just simply too lazy and unmotivated to take advantage of the opportunity. And as previously mentioned, the Sidekick effect also applies to official duos and rap groups as well. Except most of the time, the consequences are much more dire for both of the artists instead of just the sidekick. For example, Rae Sremmurd was once an undeniable hit factory a little less than a decade ago, including 2 artists, Sway Lee, the superstar, due to his catchy and melodic hooks, and Slim Jxmmi, the sidekick, who was still talented at rapping in his own respect, but just didn't shine as much as Sway Lee. After 2 massively successful albums encompassing countless Billboard and club anthems, it was obvious that tensions arose between the 2 rappers. Because while both of them contributed pretty equal amounts to every single one of these songs, Sway Lee was still given most of the credit. In fact, many fans believe Rae Sremmurd to only be one artist, and that being Sway Lee, especially because all the tracks by other artists that recruited Sway Lee to sing the hooks and features for, like the oh-so-popular Unforgettable hit single by French Montana. In 2018, Rae Sremmurd reconvened on a new project called Srem, including 3 different discs. One is a duo, but the other 2 representing each of the artist's solo projects, but for some reason still always featuring the other on every track. While Srem was still the duo's most successful project ever with respect to sales, Slim Jxmmi's solo disc was once again heavily overlooked, witnessed by the significant difference in sales. And because of this, Rae Sremmurd was rumored to have split. Slim Jxmmi felt disrespected, even getting himself into some legal trouble during this time period. It took 5 years for the 2 rappers to release another album together that arguably flopped. And while their names are definitely cemented in contemporary hip-hop from their past catalog, there is no denying that the toll on their relationship was the reason for their downfall. Now, there are countless other examples of official and unofficial rap duos and groups that have unfortunately fallen victim to the sidekick effect. Some scenarios still allowing the primary artist to flourish to this day, while the sidekick is left driving for Uber to make ends meet, and some ruining both artists' careers. And interestingly enough, this pattern often occurs with basically every rapper, that is, if you look deep enough into their history. Perhaps this is due to some sort of camaraderie in the war of making money in music, and that it increases the chances of both artists making it if they agree to put the other on if they blow up first. But ultimately, this rarely works out. It seems, at least at first, that being in a music collective or duo of sorts will propel an artist's career due to the exponential growth and marketing by mutual parties. But in all reality, what is the point of it all if you are not the group leader? Because all your fans will be stolen by the primary artist anyway, leaving you potentially worse off than before. So you might as well put all your efforts into your own career and be the star of your own fan base. However, not all unofficial rap duos have ended badly. For instance, Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi Vert have both established themselves as prominent figures in hip-hop after being close friends and collaborators for years, potentially breaking the sidekick effect curse. Each known for their respective distinctive styles and overall influences on upcoming generation of artists, Playboi Carti's simplistic delivery and experimental production have garnered him one of, if not, the largest cult followings in the genre, while Lil Uzi Vert's melodic trap sound and personality have welcomed him numerous global hits throughout the years. The 2 rappers first officially collaborated in 2016 on Lil Uzi Vert's Perfect Love tape. This soon blossomed into a strong friendship and many more future collaborations benefiting both of their careers. Although Uzi was certainly the larger artist at the time, which could have very easily resulted Carti becoming his sidekick. But for some reason, their unique dynamic when together, commonly known as 1629, actually enhanced both of their careers as individual artists since their styles and origins as artists were so different. One did not overshadow the other, at least not too much, especially because most of their collabs never actually officially released, potentially allowing them to continue growing their fan bases on their own. Of course, their leaked 1629 collab tape was certainly a catalyst in exploding their respective careers in 2017 because of all of the anticipation of both fan bases. But afterwards, Uzi and Cardi were really never seen publicly together anymore, and therefore the strong association between the two was severed and freed Cardi from any chance of becoming a sidekick. In fact, in the past, he already had multiple examples of friends he had to leave behind. Maybe he avoided this situation knowingly. And this was the very reason their relationship had its fair share of turmoil in recent years. For in early 2020, leading up to both Uzi and Cardi's highly anticipated albums, Eternal Atake and Whole Lotta Red, Uzi admitted that they physically fought to solve unresolved differences. But from the looks of their careers at this point, the separation was a blessing in disguise and saved one or both of their careers. For if they continued to collaborate so often, one artist may have earned more favoritism from their fans, and the sidekick effect could have started to infect the other. But because they separated and basically laid the foundation for their own solo careers from then on, no one became a sidekick. Eventually, even their fan bases that were once synonymous split into different subgenres in rap, as the artists were simply making entirely different music. Playboi Carti started creating more punk and heavy metal influenced albums and imagery, whereas Lil Uzi Vert continued to progress melodic trap. And better yet, both enjoyed peak success in regards to sales within their 2020 studio albums. Fortunately, the case of Playboi Carti and Lil Uzi Vert actually proves that there is some escape from the disastrous sidekick effect if any artists were to find themselves victim. Another prominent rap duo that should give aspiring artists hope is Gunna and Lil Baby, who initially rose to fame in 2017 under the wing of Young Thug. Although Lil Baby ended up signing to QC, he was still very much affiliated with Thug and YSL, who Gunna remained loyal to. To capitalize off their newfound success from a few hit singles such as Baby's Freestyle and Gunna's Top Off, they quickly released a collab tape titled Drip Harder within a year, further cementing the artists as Atlanta's next leaders in rap. In fact, the two were so inseparable, many of the debates in 2018 centered around which one of the two was the better artist. Personally, I side with Gunna, but that's besides the point. In that their close relationship in the music industry could have very well been the source of their downfall later on. However, this collab tape was the first and only official project together, whereas afterwards, they were able to solely focus on their own careers, working with different artists and producers and therefore cultivating their own separate fan bases. Although given their sounds and origin in Atlanta, they still very much had shared fans, especially because they continued to be frequent features on each other's projects. But as we briefly discussed, I actually think that the main factor in allowing both artists to flourish at their own will was signing to different labels, and that having different managers and repertoire of artists at their label likely encouraged them to create their own path rather than always recording together like a lot of other rap groups and duos. Different flight schedules, studios, artist managers, they probably saw each other a lot less after signing, until eventually, a couple years later, up until now, they're practically seen as their own individual superstar artists. And even more so now, after Lil Baby clearly took a stand against Gunna's decision to sign paperwork about YSL in order to be released from jail early while Young Thug continued his case. So all in all, I think it's plain as day that while teaming up with another artist or multiple can be beneficial for all parties when it comes to developing their sound or simply promotion, there is a time when it must end for everyone to become their own individuals. For if they stay together too long in their careers, it is almost inevitable that one artist or both will start to fade due to a multitude of reasons. There are countless stories, some of which we discussed already, where this occurs, yet only a few examples where both artists were able to be successful long term. So feel free, please, to let me know in the comments if you disagree with any of the examples that we discussed today, or have any more to add. Y'all know I'm always down to argue. But other than that, make sure to like and subscribe for more hip-hop documentaries and opinionated videos, and I'll see y'all on the next one.
Alright, gang. So I think that was a good video. I'm glad I subscribed. I'm gonna look forward to more videos from this guy, but I was gonna say something, but I'm also glad I didn't like pause it and stop it when he brought up the Gunna and Lil Baby, because he then brought it up. I was thinking, yo, how old is this video? But other than that, this whole sidekick effect thing, I don't know, he seems accurate with it. I don't see no flaws in what he's saying so far, but you let me know what you think. Thanks for watching this video. I've been working on this time drawing, you know. Like I said, they usually take around 60 hours I'm nowhere near that, but that's not necessarily the goal. It's just it's done when it's done. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. If you like my drawings, maybe check out the store, the products down below. Hit like, hit subscribe, join the membership. You know, anything at all. Comment anything at all. I truly appreciate it. Thanks. I gotta see what he wants. And have a great day, everyone. All right, bye.